On the line, I've got Greg Soden. He's the author of a brand new book called Unscripted Moments, Conversations with Propagandy 2020 to 2025. The book launch is Saturday at Public Domain on Portage. That's where Goodwill used to be. Greg's going to be joined by Witch Police Radio podcast host Sam Thompson. Greg, how does a guy who grew up in St. Louis and currently lives in Buffalo end up writing a book about a Winnipeg punk rock band?
So during the pandemic, my friend Keith and I started a song-by-song podcast called Unscripted Moments, a podcast about Propagandy. And over the 5 years that we've done the show, we collaborated about 20-plus times with past and present members of Propagandy to do interviews and feature them on the show, talking about their music and their history. And then what happened is I got this idea stuck in my head that the interviews would be a good collection to transcribe into a print form and bring the digital world of the podcast into a physical and tangible form, just to serve as sort of an artifact of this collection that could live on someday, just in case I decided to stop paying for the hosting of the website and the podcast episodes someday just go poof into the internet. So it really was just a way to kind of preserve and kind of just love on the project that I've done over the last 5 years and just spend a little more time with these conversations with these people that I've looked up to for the past 30 years of my life.
I noticed in the title, it's 2020 to 2025. So is in the back of your mind, like, I'm going to do another one of these?
I mean, you never know. We'll see what happens in the next in the next couple of years. We still have to talk about all the songs on the new record. So never say never, but we're thinking about doing some other things like some zines and stuff like that. So you never know what's going to happen in the future.
You mentioned over 20 interviews with the band over the last 5 years. What did the band say when you told them you were turning this into a book?
So the band have always had a very healthy boundary with me. We don't have like a super close working relationship. They're not like a group of friends that I would call upon socially, but they've been very supportive and very cool and very helpful. They answer my questions whenever I need some specific minutia discussed for specific songs. And then whenever I told them that I was thinking about doing a book version of the interviews, they said, we talked about it. We're cool with it. Do your best and keep us posted. And so that's really kind of the way it went down. They all have copies of the book. I gave them all author copies provided by the publisher. So they have it, they've seen it, and they have been complimentary of the project thus far.
And I was listening, in another podcast, you were talking about, like, this is your favorite band. So this was this very much a labor of love for you? Yes,
absolutely. I've loved them since I was in middle school, growing up in the suburbs of St. Louis, Missouri in the U.S., and to hold this book and look at it and kind of flip through it and be like, wow, these are my words, and this is Chris Hanna's words, or these are George Samileski's words. I mean, these are people that have been musically a part of my life since I was actually a child. So it is an honor and a privilege and a thrill that they allowed me to feature them in both projects, the podcast and the book.
I love that you're actually coming to Winnipeg for the launch. Have you actually been here before?
I have, yes. I came to Winnipeg in October of 2021 for the 3 Thanksgiving weekend shows that Propagandy did for the first shows back after the pandemic when things were starting to open up a little bit. I was at all 3 of those shows. I toured around Winnipeg that whole weekend, and hilariously, my thing at Public Domain is 4 years to the day since I was last in Winnipeg. So it's pretty funny that it worked out to be the exact same time of year 4 years later.
Okay, so I thought like the timing of this was you just trying to avoid our winter maybe.
Well, that is part of it because I did kind of rush it to be before winter. I spent 2 winters in Saskatoon. I did my master's degree in Saskatchewan. And it was sort of in the back of my mind that I would like to go there during a time of year when it's a little more pleasant to be around. In October in Buffalo and October in Winnipeg, both gorgeous times of year.
I thought you were going to tell me, look, man, I'm living in Buffalo right now. I know what winter is.
I do. However, it's very different because our winter temperatures hover around zero, hover right around freezing. we just have that lake effect snow that comes off Lake Erie, whereas you guys have the minus 40 and sometimes the minus lower than minus 40 once in a while. So it's a little different here than there.
I'm still chatting with Greg Soden. He's the author of a brand new book called Unscripted Moments, Conversations with Propaganda 2020 to 2025. The book launch is Saturday at Public Domain on Portage. That's where Goodwill used to be. Aside from your chat with Sam from Witch Police Radio, what can we expect? What else can we expect on Saturday?
So on Saturday, one of my very best friends, Paul Hodgert, will be playing music. He has a new record out called Paul is Dead, and he's a longtime Winnipeg punk rock guy, and he's going to be playing a set. And he also has been a collaborator of the podcast for a long time, so I'm really happy he'll be there. And then the other musical guest that we have performing is Mike Coop, who is a member of the band The Bonaducci's, who go back to the 90s with Propaganda. So I'm delighted that Mike will be playing, and I'm delighted that Paul will be playing as well.
Are any members of Propaganda going to be there?
I don't actually know. They have, they're off the road right now, so they are floating around. So I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really made any demands of them. They know about it, and they're helping me promote it a little bit. So you never know.
I know you said you have a professional relationship with them, but I'm hoping you could nudge them into maybe announcing a Winnipeg show. I know they canceled a bunch of U.S. shows and they announced a Canadian tour, but they didn't have a hometown show. I know they're going to do it eventually, but can you make this happen a little sooner?
Yeah, I will definitely let them know that a 3-night stand at the Park Theater in maybe May, when the thaw hits, would be a really nice welcome to summer for all the fans in Winnipeg, myself included, because I would be flying up for those 3 if they did a 3-night stand. Also, shout out to Sam from Witch Police Radio. If anyone likes what I do for River City Rocks, they're going to love Sam's podcast. I ran into him yesterday, and he's like, hey, did you know about the Propaganda book and the thing on Saturday? I was like, don't tell me more. And that's why me and Greg are talking now. How did you meet Sam? So when I first started the podcast, obviously Propaganda being such an important Winnipeg band, people in Winnipeg found the podcast quite quickly. And Sam reached out privately, and he said that he would be happy to help me fact check any local stuff to talk about on the podcast. So, for example, he told me all about the murals on West Broadway that are featured in the song A Speculative Fiction. And so Sam sort of became my eyes and ears on the ground of Winnipeg, because he is so knowledgeable of everything that happens in Winnipeg music. So Sam has been a longtime collaborator of mine, just to help me make sure that I'm depicting things on the podcast as accurately as I can when local details become important.
Sam is an absolute beaut. Unscripted Moments, yes. Conversations with Propaganda is the title of the book. Aside from the big box places, I saw it's on McNally Robinson's website, so support some local there. Also on Greg's publisher's website, earthislandbooks.com. Greg Soden, thanks for making time. Thanks for joining us.
What a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.